She is the last zombie left in the world. To help his daughter regain some humanity, the father takes her to an amusement park, but in just one careless moment, she disappears. She slowly walks toward the crowd, only to be accidentally knocked over by a woman taking photos of her child.
죄송해요. 괜찮으세요?
Sue was once an ordinary girl who loved dancing and lived with her father, who worked at a zoo. That day, the news suddenly reported a mysterious virus spreading rapidly in Seoul, with symptoms resembling rabies that drove people to bite others. Father and daughter witnessed a fight between neighbors, and at first they noticed nothing strange, until they saw one of them turn into a zombie right before their eyes. Yulhwan immediately pulled Sue down to hide, but the zombie had already spotted them. The glass shattered, and Yulhwan pushed a sofa against the window, pinning the creature down so it couldn't move. He planned to take his daughter to her grandmother's house in the countryside, but the streets were already overrun with zombies. Thinking quickly, he pretended to be one of them, performing a zombie imitation act with his daughter to sneak through unnoticed. But their act didn't last long before the zombies realized something was off. Yulhwan took his daughter and ran. He told her to wait while he went to get the car, and though the journey was full of danger, they finally managed to escape. Just as Yulhwan felt relieved to have survived, he noticed Sue's pale face and how she was hiding a wound on her arm. It turned out that while he was getting the car, Sue had been bitten by a zombie. Right after she asked, "Will I turn into one of them?" Veins bulged across her body, her consciousness faded, and when she opened her eyes again, she had become a soulless creature. Yulhwan pressed down on his daughter's head, pulled up the hood of her sweatshirt, then climbed into the back seat. He yanked the seatbelt tight and released it, using the force to knock Sue unconscious. When her grandmother came home and found her son Yulhwan, she rushed inside after learning Sue was sick.
이런 쌍놈 새끼가.
Sue was tied up tightly, and the TV was broadcasting that the government had launched a large-scale extermination plan. All infected people would be eliminated on sight. Yulhwan wanted to take his daughter to a hospital but witnessed soldiers mercilessly shooting the infected. To prevent people from hiding cases, the government even set up a hotline, offering a reward of 100 million won for reports. Rather than let strangers kill his daughter, Yulhwan decided to do it himself. He dug a deep hole in the yard, trembling as he lifted the shovel, but then memories of his daughter flooded his mind. His mother decided to end her granddaughter's suffering, but when Sue showed a look of fear, Yulhwan stopped her. No matter what, he couldn't bear to watch his daughter die. As they argued, Sue broke free and ran out of the house. If the villagers saw she was a zombie, it would be disastrous. Mother and son searched frantically, and Yulhwan suddenly remembered a place. Sure enough, he found her there. It was the old house where Sue used to play with her late mother. Yulhwan realized his daughter might still have memories otherwise. Why would she return here? He took out his phone and played her favorite dance music, and to his surprise, Sue began moving to the rhythm as if instinctively remembering the steps. Experts explain that the virus, called GARD, causes infection but may allow some memories to resurface if the brain is stimulated, weakening its effects. The grandmother didn't believe it and said that unless Sue could eat the fried rice she cooked, she wasn't truly human.
이걸 먹으면 우리 강아지, 안 먹으면 좀비요. 자.
Sue didn't care for fried rice but showed interest in stir-fried pork intestines instead. Just then, Yulhwan's friend Dongbei arrived. When he saw Sue's zombie-like appearance, he immediately took out his phone to report it.
동배야, 제 수아라고, 내 딸. 근데 좀비가 되어버렸네.
Yulhwan showed him Sue's zombie dance and begged him to help train her. She couldn't fully regain her memory. At least she could seem less like a monster.
좀비가 뭔 훈련이여.
지금은 어떨 것 같냐? 너라면 네 애 포기할 수 있어?
결혼도 안 했는데 내가 애가 어딨어.
The grandmother was washing Sue's hair, and seeing the bulging veins and decaying skin on her neck filled her with sorrow.
울면 아플 거. 할미가 대신 걸렸어야 되는데 할미가 썩으려니 그들 앙앙거렸지.
After thinking all night, Dongbei decided to help. He had contacted a medical friend overseas, who told him that animal trials were already complete.
수아 훈련 나가 도와줄게. 예?
Yulhuan and Dongbei took Sue to an uninhabited island and began intensive training. Through her father's persistence, Sue slowly regained some human behaviors, though her bloodthirsty impulses would still erupt at times. During one session, Yulhuan blew his whistle, thinking it would calm her down, but what she truly feared was the feather duster in her grandmother's hand. Throughout this time, Yulhuan kept detailed notes of his daughter's every move and emotion, unaware that these records would later bring him endless trouble. 3 months passed. Sue no longer bit anyone and could understand simple words. Yulhuan's greatest wish was to one day hear her call him dad, but no matter how hard he tried, she remained silent. The grandmother urged him to buy makeup in town after all. They couldn't let the child look like a monster forever.
우리 강아지가 얼마나 답답하겠냐. 인자 입질도 안 한 게 핏줄 가리 갖고 콧바람 한번 쐬주자.
At the store, Yulhuan unexpectedly ran into his first love, Yanhua. Now a village teacher, she offered him a ride home and tried to talk, but uneasy about revealing Sue's secret, Yulhuan got out halfway and hurried away. That night, Dongbei invited Yulhuan out for dinner, but to his surprise, Yanhua was there too. It turned out that Yanhua had asked Dongbei to arrange the meeting. From Dongbei, she learned that Yulhuan was divorced and that his daughter couldn't attend school because of brain treatment. Yanhua offered to let Sue join her class so she could take better care of her, but Yulhuan politely refused. Yanhua hated zombies the most, and not long ago, she had killed her own husband with her own hands.
이젠 그 사람 좀비로 변한 모습밖에 생각이 안 나. 한동안 정신없이 좀비만 신고하고 죽였어. 그래야 잊을 수 있을 것 같아서. 어디 잡아 죽일 좀비 없나?
While Yulhuan was flipping through Yanhua's file, he noticed that Sue was staring at a commercial on TV. It was an ad for an amusement park cosplay event. As winter approached, Yulhuan decided to return to Seoul to pick up some clothes. Looking at the photos of his once bright and cheerful daughter, his heart ached as memories of the lively Sue flooded back.
수아야.
아빠, 나 때문에 많이 힘들지? 미안해.
He imagined dancing with her again to her favorite song, though deep down, he knew that version of her might never return, and as a father, he had failed to protect her. Determined to bring her to her favorite amusement park once more, he made up his mind, though Dongbei strongly objected, fearing something unpredictable might happen along the way.
같이 가자, 친구야. 응?
When Yulhuan got home, he was shocked to find Yanhua visiting. His mother didn't want her there either, but worried that refusing might raise suspicion, she reluctantly let her stay. While the two women were whispering, the door suddenly opened. As Yanhua tried to greet Sue, Yulhuan quickly pushed her back into the room. He blew his whistle, pretending it was training time, and hurriedly ushered Yanhua out the door. She had already started to suspect something about Sue's condition, even if she hadn't seen it for herself. The next day, the grandmother carefully applied makeup to Sue's face, while Dongbei appeared dressed in a Thor cosplay outfit. Thanks to the grandmother's efforts, and with Sue wearing colored contact lenses, she now looked almost completely human. At 4 p.m., the village chief gathered everyone for a meeting. The grandmother claimed that Sue couldn't attend school because of her illness, but the chief didn't believe the excuse. His reaction only deepened Yanhua's suspicions about Sue's true condition. At the amusement park, Yulhuan showed his daughter an old photo of her smiling there years ago, hoping to spark her memories, but she showed no response. Quietly, Dongbei told him that the cure was almost ready. The two men thought hope was near, but fate struck first. When the grandmother returned home, she found Yanhua waiting again, holding Yulhuan's notebook that recorded every detail of Sue's training. Yanhua demanded to know where the girl was. By then, Sue had already wandered off. Following his scent through the streets, she was accidentally knocked down by a passerby, then stood up and slowly walked into a nearby shop.
보자.
Yulhwan finally found her and held her tightly in his arms, scolding himself for being careless. But to his astonishment, Sue spoke.
뭐라고?
동배야 들었어? 들었어. 발음까지 완벽해버려.
The grandmother then confessed everything. When Yunhwa asked about Yunhwan's wife, she was stunned to learn that Yunhwan wasn't Sue's biological father, he was her uncle. Sue's mother was Yunhwan's older sister. His sister's marriage had been miserable. Her husband only cared about money and constantly asked her family for support. To ease her burden, Yunhwan helped raise Sue and went to Seoul to work. But on Yunhwan's birthday, his sister died in a car accident. After years of living together, Sue already saw Yunhwan as her father, and he made a vow to raise her in his sister's place. After her death, Sue's real father disappeared, taking all the insurance money with him. When they returned from the amusement park, they ran into Yunhwa, who had just learned the truth. Holding a weapon in her hand, she stood before them, ready to strike at any moment.
비켜. 좀비야. 비켜 이정환.
The sight of Sue brought back painful memories of her husband, pushing her emotions aside. Yunhwa was about to attack when Yunhwan stopped her, but Yunhwa wasn't the biggest problem anymore. The village chief had given the grandmother an ultimatum: either send Sue to school or face a public confrontation with the education office. If what Yunhwan says is true, and Sue doesn't bite people, then school is the perfect place to prove it. Yunhwa said, agreeing not to report them for now. Yunhwa's class only had 4 students, including Sue. On her first day, the other 2 girls were curious about the quiet new student from Seoul. When she didn't respond, they lifted her head to take a look, accidentally knocking one of her colored lenses loose.
뭐한 맘에?
For a while, nothing unusual happened. Sue even played cards with her grandmother sometimes, smiling innocently like a child. Then one evening, a knock came at the door. The grandmother thought Yunhwan had come home, but to her shock, it was Sue's irresponsible biological father. Someone had filmed Sue at the amusement park, exposing her secret. Her father returned not out of love but to turn her in for the 100 million won bounty. The grandmother tried to stop him but was shoved to the floor. When Yunhwan heard the news, he ran into the street, stopped the car by force, and punched the man in rage. But before he could take Sue away, her father fought back. Yunhwan pinned him down, ready to hit again until he heard what the man said.
반띵하자! 몰랐어? 너랑 수아 놀이공원 간 거 영상 다 퍼졌어, 이 멍청한 새끼야!
Seeing her father being beaten, Sue lost control. She screamed with a zombie's fury and lunged at her biological father. Within moments, the man was infected and turned. Yunhwan ended his life without hesitation, but even though the father was dead, Sue's identity was now exposed to everyone. To protect Dongbei, Yunhwan told him to claim he'd been deceived all along. Yunhwan decided to take Sue somewhere far away, where no one could find them. When the grandmother learned of this, she insisted on joining them.
엄마도 같이 갈란게 그렇게 알아.
Yunhwan told her he had arranged to meet Yunhwa and handed her a letter to deliver. But when the grandmother reached Yunhwa, military trucks were already headed toward their house. Yunhwan's phone was off. Panic filled the grandmother's heart as she opened the letter and realized what he intended to do.
엄마, 연화야, 동배야, 이 편지를 읽을 때쯤이면 나는 이미 떠나고 없을 거야. 수아를 지키기 위해선 어쩔 수 없었지만 씻을 수 없는 죄를 저질렀어. 내 스스로 그 값을 치르려고 해.
Hiding in a small cabin, Yunhwan prepared to escape by boat, but the military had already locked onto their location. Patrol boats circled the sea, forcing them to retreat inside. He told Sue, "Stay here and don't go out, no matter what."
이정원 씨, 감염자와 함께 있습니까?
정말 죄송합니다. 했어야 했는데 제가 잘못했습니다.
일단 나오세요. 나와서 얘기합시다.
Deep down, he knew the military would never spare her. Unable to let his daughter face it alone, he chose to stay with her until the end.
수아야, 아빠 말 잘 들어. 아빠를
그래야 우리가 영원히 같이 있을 수 있어. 그래야 수아 가는 곳이 어디든 아빠가 따라갈 수 있어.
Yulhuan was shot and fell to the ground. Just as the soldiers aimed their guns at Sue, she cried out, "Dad!"
아빠, 아빠, 아빠,
잘했어.
아빠, 삼촌, 고마워. 내 아빠가 돼줘서.
Afterward, Sue received treatment and miraculously turned back into a human. Sue received treatment and miraculously turned back into a human. Yulhuan, however, fell into a deep coma. Doctors discovered a rare antibody in his body that led to the successful creation of a vaccine saving countless lives, including hers. It turned out that during all those days of training, Yulhuan had been bitten many times. Those wounds had triggered his body to develop immunity against the virus. The grandmother handed Sue the notebook filled with her father's records. As she read his handwriting, tears streamed down her face. Realizing how much he had sacrificed for her, she broke down crying. In the final scene, Sue finally stands on stage, dancing gracefully under the lights. Yanhua placed the video for Yulhuan at his bedside, and at that moment, his stiff fingers move ever so slightly. And with that, the story comes to an end. See you in the next movie.